Welcome back to Roadmap. You can interact with us via our social media platforms at channelstv.com and on Gimba003. We want to hear from you firsthand, your thoughts and contributions to different angles of the issues raised here on Roadmap. Now, although they won the case against the Independent National Electoral Commission on its registration, the Youth Democratic Party may be heading for more trouble. A federal high court threatens to charge it with contempt of court for misinforming the public on the court ruling in the case against the Electoral Empire. This is how it all started.
In accordance with INEC timetable, we wish to restate that we are ready. The Young Democratic Party, YDP, is ready for the 2015 general elections. INEC, however, has two options. One of the options is to reprint its ballot papers and include our dear party so as to accommodate our candidates. Second option is, if INEC does not have the required logistics or does not have the appropriation of logistics for reprinting of its ballot papers, then INEC ought to, within the constitutional provision, further reschedule the general elections so as to accommodate our party. In either of the two options, our party is ready. We are ever ready.
How does this add up to the political mix? Human rights lawyer and legal practitioner Liboris Oshoma spoke to me on the implications of this and whether or not it threatens the date of the elections. I also have my earlier guests Lai Mohammed and Tunji Shele responding to the situation.
This is not the first time that a court judgment is asking INEC to include a name in a ballot paper. If you remember in 2007, after Obasanjo had put on the stumbling blocks on the way of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the then ACN presidential candidates, the Supreme Court ruled that the panel of inquiry, that the INEC had no power to disqualify him on the basis of the panel of inquiry. And so his name should be included on the ballot. And his name was included just a few days to the election. And so if INEC actually, because times like this, these times are challenging. INEC, this is a very tough time for INEC, and I think consistently they should be able to rise to the occasion. And so should not, because a lot of people will throw stuffs like this, in the wheel, as spanners in the wheel of progress. And so if you allow them, already once issues like this come up, people will tell you there are grounds for postponing election. If you allow them, definitely, there will be people that don't want the election. But if you insist that you are going ahead, and so since the court has said include their name, go ahead, include their names. It's just that you have to work. If you were working 12 hours before, you have to work 24 hours now to ensure that you meet deadlines.
Could this be a threat to the March date for the elections to hold?
Yes, it is. It's actually a threat if INEC allows it to be a threat. Like I said, Atiku's case was few days to the election, and even though at the end of the day there were still some irregularities, but INEC took up the challenge, and most of the ballot papers we saw, had Atiku Abubakar, party and logo on the ballot paper. And so I see no reason, if INEC had done it at that time, I see no reason why they cannot do it now, except they want it to actually be a threat. In that case, it will be a threat. If you don't want it to be a threat, like I said, you take up the challenge and then walk around the clock to ensure that you meet up with the deadline that you had set. Because a lot of all of these things are happening also, because because INEC gave room for it. You gave room for it. Since 2011, INEC knew that they were going to conduct election in 2015, and they conducted a registration process, and they promised that they were going to be permanent cards, and that they knew that they were going to use card readers. I had expected them, like 1 year before the election, to be ready. And then 3 months you begin to test run all your equipment. And then 3 months you begin to take, statutorily, you take claims and objection, which you already know you are prepared for. But now it seems that as the objections are coming, INEC will run helter-skelter to begin to, address the issues, and then people will say, well, you don't have the time to do that.
The Young Democratic Party is a very fraudulent political party. I say this with all seriousness, because they came out, addressed a press conference, and told the world that the judge granted orders which he did not grant. They told the world that the judge actually said their name was put on the ballot and they must conduct primaries. No such orders were given by the court, by the judge. So you can see that they have a very, very mischievous agenda. And I can assure you there's no way you can postpone elections on the grounds of this new YDP. It's just not there. Fine, they are registered, they have to wait for till 2019 they want to conduct elections. Because the truth of the matter is that neither the courts nor INEC has the powers to extend or restrict the time for primaries. And they can't go to court on grounds of exclusion because only candidates can go to court on grounds of exclusion. So if it's one of the tricks, one of the bobby traps that the PDP is setting, they failed woefully.
The court, in its wisdom, said that parties should be registered. But I'm happy today that they said they only said the party should be registered, but not that they should necessarily participate in the coming election, because it could have brought about litigations upon litigations, and it could have brought us back.
Would it have threatened the election date?
It will have threatened the election date seriously, because I wouldn't know how INEC can be able to produce ballot papers and include YDP between now and the next 2 weeks. It was going to cause somebody like me a serious embarrassment, because to the best of my knowledge, PDP is ready for this election. But it must go on record that INEC is not fully ready. That's what we are trying to prove. We are ready for this election. With what's on ground, we will win this election. But we want it to be on record that INEC is ill-prepared. They are not fully prepared. In Lagos, for example, in some localities, up to 400,000 PVCs have not been delivered. In some areas where we have non-indigents, some of these PVCs are virtually not made available. What could be responsible? I suspect that there is a compromise somewhere between INEC staff and a particular party in Lagos State.
There you have it. Be rest assured, though, that the coming days and weeks will be even more dramatic. And that's all we have on Roadmap this week. Keep a date with us same time next week for a fresh episode. I am Gimba Umar. Discourage electoral violence by all means.